You know that feeling, being constantly scattered, pulled in just like a million different directions. It's such a familiar modern problem, isn't it? Your brain just feels like this chaotic mess of half thoughts and these fleeting urges. Today, we're diving deep into understanding why our brains feel so chaotic, and maybe more importantly, how we can actually reclaim our focus, how we unlock our, true potential. So, our mission today, let's unpack this concept of the dopamine detox and its really powerful connection to what's called deep work.
Absolutely. And right at the heart of this modern struggle and also the solution is this single chemical player,
Yeah.
dopamine. It's fascinating. It really has this kind of dual nature. It's an incredible engine for motivation, pushing us towards goals. But unfortunately, it's also become the subtle but powerful trap in our hyper-connected world. It's sort of the silent architect behind why so many of us just feel unfocused, unproductive, and frankly, completely overwhelmed.
That's a really powerful way to frame it. And I think everyone listening has felt that the sharp end of that sword, haven't we? That just irresistible pull to check your phone the second it buzzes, or, that quick scroll through your feed just to see what's happening. Well, can you explain a bit more about what that feels like day to day? What's the subtle thing happening that makes us keep reaching for our devices?
Well, the key thing to grasp here, I think, is that dopamine, yeah, it's often called the feel-good chemical, but it isn't just released when you get the pleasure. Crucially, it's powerfully released in the anticipation of pleasure. Your brain is sort of constantly saying, more, what's next? What could be there? Every single ping, every notification delivers this tiny burst. It's not even the like itself necessarily. It's the possibility of a like, the unknown reward that just hooks us. And this ancient wiring, which was vital for survival, making us seek out food or shelter. It's now being expertly exploited by what people call the attention economy. So this constant overstimulation, it essentially overloads our brain's reward circuits. And that leads to this state of chronic anxiety, restlessness, and just a pervasive sense of fulfillment. We're always chasing, but never really satisfied.
And that connects directly back to our daily experience, right? You end up stuck. This cycle of short-term pleasure hits, but there's no real long-term fulfillment coming from it. You feel busy, almost frantic sometimes, but you're not actually productive in a meaningful way. And it gets incredibly hard to do anything that needs delayed gratification, like learning a new skill or working on a complex project.
Precisely. And this contributes to something researchers are calling time blindness. You know that feeling. You hop on social media for just a minute, and suddenly an hour has just vanished. You're left wondering where it went. You barely remember what you even scrolled past.
Oh, yeah. Definitely felt that.
That's your brain getting so caught up in that dopamine loop that it literally loses its grip on time. And these activities, even though they eat up hours, they leave almost no trace in our memory. They just create this kind of persistent mental fog, making it harder to think clearly even when you do try to focus later.
That time blindness thing you mentioned, where hours just evaporate, it's actually kind of terrifying when you think about it. So the goal then isn't just like stopping the mindless scrolling. It's about actually rewiring how our brains experience time and reward. Is that where this whole idea of a dopamine detox fits in?
Exactly right. This constant chase for the next little hit can leave us feeling trapped, yeah? But there is a powerful way to reclaim control, a kind of radical reset, people call it dopamine detox. Now, it's not about getting rid of dopamine entirely. I mean, that's impossible and you wouldn't want to. It's really about consciously cutting back on the sources of unnecessary instant stimulation. And by doing that, you start reclaiming your attention from that constant digital barrage.
And what's the science behind that rewiring part? Does our brain actually physically change?
Oh, absolutely. The core science here is neuroplasticity. Just imagine your brain isn't this fixed thing, but more like a living landscape that's constantly being reshaped by your experiences and choices. That's neuroplasticity. Every single time you choose deep focus over giving in to a distraction, you're literally carving deeper, more efficient pathways in your brain. It's like building a superhighway for your thoughts, where maybe there was just a winding dirt road before. By consistently making that choice day after day, you're actively sculpting a new, more focused architecture in your mind.
Okay, so we're actually retraining our brains like a muscle. You mentioned the solution often involves deep work, but for a lot of us, that sounds almost mythical. In this world of constant pings and notifications, what exactly is deep work, and why does it feel so hard to achieve now?
That's a really good question because it does feel elusive, doesn't it? Deep work, fundamentally, is the ability to focus without distraction on a cognitively demanding task. It's that state of intense concentration, that flow state, that allows you to produce really high-quality, meaningful work, often in less time than you'd think. You contrast that with what Cal Newport calls shallow work, those easy, repetitive tasks like constantly checking email, those unstructured meetings that go nowhere, or, yes, mindlessly scrolling social media. Deep work demands sustained concentration, and let's face it, in a world basically designed for constant interruption, getting into that state feels incredibly difficult.
And assuming you can manage to get into that state,
Yeah.
what are the actual benefits beyond just, ticking more things off a list?
Well, yeah, it's not just about productivity, though that's part of it. It's about literally rewiring your brain for brilliance. When you engage deeply, you're not just finishing a task, you're building those neural highways we talked about. This fundamentally improves your ability to solve complex problems, it enhances your mental clarity, makes your decision-making sharper, and it significantly boosts your working memory, your ability to hold and manipulate information. And here's something really interesting for creativity. Deep work provides that crucial mental space to think outside the box. To connect ideas that seem unrelated, that's where those aha moments often come from, and they just don't happen when your attention is fragmented. Plus, a big one, it significantly reduces cognitive fatigue. You can actually sustain mental effort for longer without feeling totally drained.
Okay, so understanding the trap is one thing, seeing the promise of deep work is another. But the really practical question is, how do we actually start doing this? How do we build these focused habits into our, let's be honest, chaotic lives? What does this mean for you listening right now?
Right, the practical steps. We really have to start with managing the environment. And this means being pretty ruthless about creating a genuine distraction-free zone. Turn off all non-essential notifications, phone, computer, everything. Make sure there's no TV on in your workspace, obviously. And ideally, keep those personal devices, the ones with social media, completely out of your deep workspace.
Physically remove them.
If you can, yes. It minimizes what's called attention residue, that lingering mental fog from the last distraction that keeps pulling your mind back. You might also want to look into tools like website blockers or setting really specific short time limits for checking email or social media. Treat them like necessary chores, not constant companions.
Yeah, those blockers can be surprisingly effective, I've found. And there's the power of routine, isn't there? Setting things up consistently.
Absolutely crucial. It's about figuring out your optimal deep work times. When is your brain naturally most alert? For many, it's early morning, for some, late evening. Find that window. And then schedule those times like they are non-negotiable appointments. Seriously, treat them with the same importance as, say, a doctor's visit or a critical client meeting. Don't just hope you'll find the time.
Make the time.
You have to make the time, protect it.
So we've got the external setup, the routine.
Yeah.
What about our internal state, our mindset going into it?
Good point. That's where mental and physical preparation become really key. Even simple rituals before you start a deep work session can powerfully signal to your brain, okay, it's focus time now. This could be as simple as taking, say, 5 deep breaths, or meditating for just a few minutes, or even just quickly writing down your top 1 or 2 goals for that specific session. These little actions create a clear transition, helping you consciously step into that focused mindset. And critically, and this is often overlooked physical wellness, getting enough sleep, eating reasonably well, getting some exercise, that isn't just nice to have. It's really the foundational bedrock for mental clarity and sustained focus. You just can't expect a sharp mind if the body supporting it is, running on empty.
Okay, and this next point, this highlights a really profound modern paradox, our kind of inherent fear of idleness. Why are we so deeply uncomfortable with just, being bored?
It's fascinating, isn't it? Boredom feels uncomfortable, sure, but it's actually a completely natural state for the brain. And perhaps surprisingly, it's often a gateway to creativity. When you finally allow yourself to just be bored, your brain isn't shutting down. Not at all. It's actually firing up what neuroscientists call the default mode network. You can think of it as like your brain's internal creative director idly sorting through things, making connections.
So that's where their shower thoughts come from.
Exactly. Or ideas that pop up when you're just walking or doing nothing much. So we should really advise embracing boredom and
I like that, the attention muscle you're building. And finally, it seems like it also comes down to some key mindset shifts, right? Accepting that this won't always feel easy.
Exactly. You really have to learn to embrace the initial discomfort of deep work. It's just a natural part of the process, especially when you're basically retraining years, maybe decades of distraction habits. If a big task feels overwhelming, just break it down, smaller, more manageable chunks. That makes it instantly less intimidating and gives you those quick wins, which builds momentum. This reinforces the idea of building mental resilience. Deep work is absolutely a skill, and like any skill, it improves with consistent practice. Think of it like building physical strength in the gym. You don't start bench pressing 300 pounds. It's about adopting that growth mindset. Believing your ability to focus isn't fixed, it can improve. Even something simple like the 2-minute rule can help manage internal distractions. If a distracting thought pops up, allow yourself maybe 2 minutes to acknowledge it, maybe jot it down, then gently guide your attention back. It acknowledges the thought without letting it completely derail you.
Okay, let's zoom out a bit now and talk about the long-term impact of sticking with this. What if true discipline, the kind that lasts, doesn't actually come from repression, just gritting your teeth and forcing yourself, but maybe from a deeper reconfiguration of how our brain actually perceives reward?
This is where you really start to see the compound effect of small, consistent actions. Think of it like that snowball rolling downhill. Small efforts, repeated consistently day after day, they lead to exponential results over time. This isn't really about raw willpower. It's about cultivating what we might call dopamine discipline. You're literally gradually reprogramming your brain so that the intense pull you feel to maybe mindlessly scroll can, with practice, actually transmute into the pull to journal or to learn something new or to create something meaningful. You're changing what your brain craves. And identity plays such a crucial role here, too. If you start to see yourself as someone who writes or someone who creates or solves complex problems, then doing those things isn't just another task on your to-do list. It becomes part of how you engage with the world. It's a reflection of who you are becoming.
So what this really means for you, the listener, is you start to become the architect of your own attention, right? You find yourself saying no more often, not out of like avoidance or FOMO, but simply out of alignment with your actual priorities. You begin to prioritize depth over breadth, quality over just sheer quantity of stuff.
And this whole transformation leads to this profound reclaiming of time. It moves you from feeling constantly chaotic to having a sense of clarity. When you create these containers for focused effort, those protected blocks of time we talked about, you fundamentally redesign your day, your week even. It helps cultivate this rhythm of intentional living where the principles of focus and presence start to kind of seep into every corner of your life. It makes even ordinary moments feel more meaningful, more enriching. It's not just about what you accomplish, but really about how you experience each moment of your life.
Yeah, what really stands out to me from all this is that the ultimate reward, it isn't just better productivity, though, that's great. It's a truly better, more intentional, more fulfilling life.
Which does raise an important final question for you to maybe mull over. What deep insights about yourself, about your true desires, might actually emerge when all that constant external noise finally begins to fade away?